and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to talk about the books I have read in March. I'm going to try a new art of wrap-up video because this is actually the reason I'm very late with this wrap-up. I was figuring out how to do these wrap-ups without making myself mad because 17 books with detailed reviews is taking too long to edit, and I was just thinking some of these books do not need an extensive wrap-up. They need some talk about them, but they don't need the 10-minute talk about them. So let me get into it. I am going to work with stats, I'm going to work with bullet points, and I'm going to focus on the books that have surprised me positively and surprised me in a negative way. So let's get into it. In March, I have read 17 books. The majority of those was actually contemporary stuff. It was kind of more focused on adult fiction, and I can tell you why. This month I did my Japanese literature readathon. So all of that is adult fiction, so that's why this is the major part of it. But I have also had some fantasy, I have had science fiction, and I think on average I have still kept my kind of 300 pages per book. My average rating this month was a perfect 4. I think that's okay. I am very generous in my ratings, I think, but I had still books I gave 2.75 stars out of 5, so I'm just on the big range. Let's get into the books. First book I've read was Binti. Binti is a sci-fi novel. The 3 bullet points I want to give you is African culture, alien-human friendship, going off to space university. I would recommend this to people interested in black culture, in science fiction, and coming-of-age stories. I gave Binti 4.75 out of 5 stars. The second book I have read in March is Of Curses and Kisses. This is a contemporary YA romance. My 3 bullet points are Beauty and the Beast retelling, Indian Princess and the English Lord, Forbidden Enemies to Lovers romance. And I would recommend this to more the younger side of the teenager spectrum and to people who love fairy tale retellings. I give Of Curses and Kisses 3 stars out of 5. The next book I have read in March was Such a Fun Age by Kiley, Reid, and my 3 bullet points are white privilege and gray area internalized racism, babysitting, and finding your own voice. I would recommend this book to everybody. It's a literature treasure. I give this 5 out of 5 stars. I followed this up book with Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me. This is a graphic novel. The bullet points would be female to female romance, toxic relationship, and standing up for yourself. And I would recommend this to LGBT people who like graphic romances and everybody who wants to reach their reading goal quickly, because it's a graphic novel and it's cutie. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book is called The Sea. My bullet points for this book are trans, lesbian, main character, benevolent alien invasion making everybody high, and the suffering of emotions. Seriously, it's heartbreaking. I am recommending this book to everybody who loves queer sci-fi, as I do, and like to cry with books. Also, I love trans persons. Cool. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, of course I did. I continued my reading with non-fiction book. I read You Do You by Sarah Knight. My bullet points would be Pep Talk from Your Favorite Wine Aunt, You Do You, and Stop Comparing Yourself. I would recommend this to people who like self-help but just want to have a laugh, because this is not a real self-help book. It's going to give you a pep talk. That's it. I gave this 2.75 out of 5 stars. And let's continue with a sci-fi that is gonna be a modern classic in some people's opinions. Spoiler alert, not in mine. Free Body Problem by Cixin Liu. My bullet points are highly sciencey with big scientific mistakes throughout. Selfish people killing us all. And We Are Game solving a real science problem. This is obviously sci-fi, and I would recommend this to people who like hard sci-fi but are not actual scientists, because you will see the mistakes and it will drive you mad. Also, if you're interested in Chinese culture, maybe check this out. It has some kind of historical things in it. I gave this 2.75 out of 5 stars. Let's move on to In My Year of Rest and Relaxation. Bullet points are: all you need is drugs and no people. Nothing matters, so I can be an asshole. Dissociative disorder, but on purpose. This is contemporary. You need to be able to take a hit, okay? It's angsty, edgy, shocking, disgusting sometimes, and I recommend this just to people who like weird stuff and don't have a problem with drug abuse. The next book I have read is actually something I read on audio. It's In an Absent Dream by Shannon McGuire, and my bullet points are: Alice in Wonderland, but dark and highly logic. Birds Are the Curse. Magic world with strict rules. This is fantasy. I recommend this to fantasy people and people who have read the Wayward Children series. Generally, if you like Alice in Wonderland and if you like very good magic systems. Cool. Sciencey fantasy. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I have read, it was already in my Japanese readathon, so check out my videos on those books, was Territory of Light. My 3 bullet points are: single mother going through a divorce, the struggle of being a mom, and catastrophes all around, and a stalker husband. I recommend this to people interested in Japanese literature, and if you are vibing with the single mom, struggling woman thing, maybe check this out. I didn't really like it. I gave this 2.75 out of 5 stars. Next book was After Dark by Haruki Murakami. This is also a part of my Japanese readathon. My bullet points are: relationship of two sisters, nocturnal animals in Tokyo, the dark side of city life. Big city life. I would recommend it to people who like noir indie films, specifically. It is like a short movie. It's really good. I gave After Dark 4 out of 5 stars. The next book I have read was Sweet Bean Paste by Darien Sugagawa. And my bullet points for this book are: joy in life can be found everywhere, prejudice and discrimination, and found family. This is contemporary Japanese, and I would recommend this to everybody being a foodie, everybody wanting to read something about discrimination, people just looking for a meaning in life. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my new favorites. I love it. The next book I've read was Letters from an Astrophysicist by Neil deGrasse Tyson. My bullet points for this book are: educational rants from your favorite science guy, remembering of historical events, and the stupidity of people. This is nonfiction. This is for everybody who is a fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson and has similar opinions to him in a science liberal way. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. The next book I have read this month was Criers War. So, my bullet points for this book are: fantasy princess version of The Matrix, but people are actually slaves instead of batteries. Alchemy is science. Female to female, slow burn romance, enemies to lovers with a touch of revolution. I would recommend this to YA fantasy readers and LGBT fantasy people, and just if you want queer girls, yes. There's gonna be a second book, I can't wait. I gave this 4.25 out of 5 stars. Let's continue with the Japanese books. The next book is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is a contemporary with a touch of time travel. So my 3 bullet points are: coffee that allows you to time travel, stories about relationships and lives, and getting closure. I recommend this to people who like adult fiction, Japanese in particular, and are interested in some kind of light sci-fi fantasy things, and in human relationships, because this is beautiful. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. And the next book I've picked up is Picnic in the Storm. It's an anthology of 11 stories. It was the last book of my Japanese readathon. My bullet points for this book are: 11 stories, cute, fairy tale-like, but also extremely disturbing and weird. Grotesque, weird, social critique, a view of the relationship between husband and wife, but on LSD. If you like anthologies, maybe check it out. And if you like really weird things and very abstract social critique, yes, this is good. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book of the month was Some Red on Audion again. It's Come Tumbling Down by Shannon McGuire, the newest book in the Wayward Children series. I read 2 books from this series this month. So my bullet points are similar to the other one. Alice in Wonderland, but highly logic. My sister is a monster and I need to deal with her. Also, justice, quest, and body snatching. I recommend this to fantasy fans and people who just like the Wayward Children series, especially if you're on the logic weird side of the spectrum of Wayward Worlds. Okay? So we are done with the bullet points, going through all my books. I'm now going to pick out some books I want to talk about in more detail. I'm not going to talk about the Japanese books because you have to check out my Japanese literature readathon, because I did detailed reviews of those in there. We need to talk about the Seep. So this is a February 2020 release. I think this was also debut novel, and as I said, this has a trans woman main character. It is utterly heartbreaking. It is a weird utopia, kind of dystopia. They are intertwined, right? And I think this is one of the most impressive short books I have read. It touched me really hard. I cried a lot. And it is about human emotion, that people cannot be happy all the time. And this is very interesting. Also, the alien species in this are parasites, and they are invading Earth by taking over humans and just making us happy. They just make us happy. Everybody loves it. Everybody's high and having fun. But is it good enough? Is it destroying humanity? It asks cute questions. I just liked it a lot. So if you want to read one of the books from this pile, I adored it. I also have to point out such a fun age, because this book did something I didn't expect. It did bring me a story that explains the subtlest version of racism. That as a white person, I want to be called out if I ever do something like that. It is a view on things that for me, it's kind of eye-opening. Just that internalized racism is something that people are dealing with, unfortunately. And I can't say that the characters in here are evil, because they are not. They are still racist. And I just love books that are the greyest of grey morally wise and have immense character depth. And I just love books that leave me with a lesson. And this book gave me a lesson. And I can't wait to find more books that will just slightly open my eyes for the grey area of any prejudice that we people may carry in us. Let's talk about the books that have disappointed me. So, The Free Body Problem. I had such high hopes for this. I hyped it up kinda, because people are saying this is amazing. This is one of the best hard science fiction of the modern time. And honestly, no. It has scientific errors. And if you are doing hard sci-fi and you are breaking the laws of physics, I'm going to hunt you down and scream. Okay, so this is my biggest problem with this. Also, almost everybody in this book is a fucking asshole. Is a really, really bad person. Also, a book that has kinda disappointed me this month was Of Curses and Kisses, because I also thought this is gonna be a fun read, this is gonna be amazing. Indian princess as Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Love it. The execution? It had some issues. The book was very weirdly paced. It was very slow sometimes. The romance developed on an odd pace, and resolution of this book was far too quick and completely unbelievable. It left me in a rage. So I didn't like this much. I think if somebody is a younger reader, maybe they will like them. If you like the younger side of YA, this is maybe for you if I didn't like this as much as I thought I will. Thank you very much for joining me for this video. This is my new art of wrap up. I hope you get a lot of recommendations from this video, and please join me in the next video. I will post a dedicated view of the Foundation trilogy soon, so wait for that. And in the meantime, subscribe, and I see you soon. Bye!